The old truck's engine made a rough sound as Ben pulled into the parking lot of Rosie's diner. He had been driving for 6 hours straight, moving cattle from one ranch to another across the empty roads of Montana. His back hurt, his eyes were tired, and all he wanted was a hot cup of coffee and maybe a burger. Ben was 43 years old and had been working as a cowboy for most of his life. He liked it that way. No boss telling him what to do every minute, no office meetings, no complicated relationships. Just him, his truck, and the open road. He had a small apartment in town, but he was hardly ever there. The road was his real home. As he stepped out of his truck, the October wind hit his face. It was getting cold and winter was coming soon. He pulled his hat down and walked toward the diner. That's when he saw something that made him stop. On the concrete steps of the diner sat a little girl. She looked about 7 or 8 years old, maybe younger. Her clothes were dirty and too big for her small body. Her brown hair was messy and looked like it hadn't been washed in days. But what really caught Ben's attention was what she was holding. In her thin arms was a baby, wrapped in what looked like an old blanket with holes in it. The baby was so small, probably not even a year old. The little girl was rocking back and forth, trying to keep the baby calm. Her eyes were big and scared, but she was trying so hard to be brave. Ben stood there for a moment, not knowing what to do. Where were their parents? Why were these kids sitting outside a diner all alone? He looked around the parking lot, thinking maybe someone was inside getting food for them. But the parking lot was almost empty, and something in his gut told him these children were completely alone. He walked slowly toward them, not wanting to scare the little girl. As he got closer, he could see that the baby looked really thin. The little girl's face was dirty, and there were dark circles under her eyes like she hadn't slept in a long time. "Hey there," Ben said softly, crouching down so he wouldn't look, so tall and scary. "Are you okay?" The little girl looked up at him with the biggest, saddest eyes he had ever seen. For a second, she didn't say anything. Then in a voice so quiet he almost couldn't hear her, she said something that hit him like a punch to the stomach. "Can you buy us, mister?" Ben felt like the world stopped spinning. He stared at this tiny girl holding a baby, asking him to buy them like they were something in a store. His heart started beating fast and he felt sick. "What did you say, honey?" he asked, hoping he had heard wrong. The little girl's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. "Can you buy us? We need someone to take care of us. The baby is hungry and I don't have any more money for food." Ben's mind was racing. This little girl thought people could be bought and sold. She was so desperate and scared that she was willing to ask a complete stranger to buy them. He realized that these children had probably been through things no kid should ever have to experience. He looked at the baby in her arms. The little boy, Ben could tell it was a boy from the blue shirt he was wearing, was so quiet. Too quiet. His little face was pale, and Ben could tell he was hungry. Really hungry. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Ben asked gently. "Lucy," the girl whispered. "And this is my little brother Billy. He's 6 months old." "Where are your mom and dad, Lucy?" Lucy's face got even sadder. "Mama left us at a truck stop 3 days ago. She said she had to go somewhere and would come back, but she didn't. A man there told us to leave, so we've been walking." Ben felt anger rise up in his chest. What kind of mother leaves little kids at a truck stop? But he pushed the anger down. These children needed help, not his anger. "Have you eaten today?" he asked. Lucy shook her head. "Billy drank the last bottle yesterday. I found some crackers in a trash can, but they were kind of old. That was it." Ben couldn't listen to any more. He stood up and made a decision that would change his life forever. "Come on," he said, reaching out his hand. "Let's get you both some food." Lucy looked at him suspiciously. "Do you want to buy us?" Ben's heart broke all over again. "No, honey, I just want to help you. No one should have to buy children. Children aren't for sale." "But I don't have money to pay you back," Lucy said, holding Billy tighter. "You don't need to pay me back. Sometimes people help each other just because it's the right thing to do." Lucy stared at him for a long time like she was trying to figure out if he was telling the truth. Finally, she stood up slowly, still holding Billy close to her chest. They walked into the diner together. The waitress, a woman with gray hair and kind eyes, looked surprised to see Ben with two small children, but she didn't ask questions. She just smiled and led them to a booth in the back. "What can I get you folks?" she asked. Ben looked at Lucy. "What do you want to eat, honey?" Lucy's eyes got wide. "Anything? Anything you want. Can Billy have some milk? And maybe some soup for me?" Ben ordered milk for the baby, soup and a sandwich for Lucy, and coffee for himself. While they waited for the food, he watched Lucy try to keep Billy calm. The baby was fussing a little, probably because he was so hungry. When the food came, Lucy tried to feed Billy the milk with a spoon since they didn't have a bottle. Ben watched her do it with such care and love. This little girl was trying so hard to be a mother to her baby brother. "Lucy," Ben said softly, "how long have you been taking care of Billy by yourself?" "Since he was born," Lucy said, not looking up from feeding Billy. "Mama was sick a lot, so I learned how to change his diaper and make his bottles." Ben realized that this 7-year-old girl had been a mother for 6 months. She had been doing a job that grown-ups found hard, and she had been doing it while being just a little kid herself. As he sat there watching Lucy carefully feed her brother, Ben knew his life was about to change. He had always been a loner, never wanting to be tied down to anyone or anything, but looking at these two children who had no one else in the world, he felt something he had never felt before. He felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. The baby finished drinking the milk and fell asleep in Lucy's arms. She ate her soup slowly, like she was trying to make it last forever. Ben could tell she was exhausted, but she wouldn't let herself relax completely. She kept looking around the diner like she was waiting for something bad to happen. "Lucy," Ben said quietly, "when was the last time you slept?" She shrugged. "I don't know. I have to watch Billy." "What if I watched Billy while you took a nap?" Lucy's eyes got scared. "No, I can't let go of him. What if something happens? What if someone takes him away?" Ben understood. This little girl had been protecting her brother for so long that she couldn't trust anyone else to do it, even for a few minutes. "Okay," he said. "I understand, but Lucy, you can't keep taking care of Billy all by yourself. You're just a little girl. You need help." "Are you going to call the police?" Lucy asked, and Ben could hear the fear in her voice. Ben thought about it. He probably should call someone. Child services, the police, somebody. These children needed help from people who knew how to handle situations like this. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the way Lucy held Billy so protectively. Maybe it was the fear in her eyes when she talked about being separated from her brother. Or maybe it was the feeling in his own heart that these children had found him for a reason. "Not tonight," he said finally. "Tonight, let's just make sure you both are safe and fed. We can figure out everything else tomorrow." For the first time since he had met her, Lucy smiled. It was just a small smile, but it changed her whole face. She looked like what she really was, a little girl who just wanted to feel safe. As they finished eating, Ben made another decision. He was going to get these children a hotel room for the night. He was going to make sure they had a warm, safe place to sleep. And tomorrow, he was going to figure out how to help them for real. He didn't know it yet, but this was the beginning of the most important journey of his life. The lonely cowboy who had spent years running from responsibility was about to learn that sometimes the best things in life happen when you stop running and start caring. Outside the diner, the wind was getting stronger, and it was starting to get dark. But inside, a little girl named Lucy was holding her baby brother, and for the first time in days, she wasn't afraid. And a man named Ben was discovering that his heart was much bigger than he had ever imagined. The next morning, Ben woke up in the motel room next to the one where Lucy and Billy were sleeping. He had paid for 2 rooms at the Sunset Motel, a small place that wasn't fancy but was clean and warm. All night, he had been thinking about what to do next. He knocked softly on their door. "Lucy, it's Ben. Are you awake? He heard small footsteps, and then Lucy opened the door just a crack. She was still wearing the same dirty clothes from yesterday, but her hair looked a little neater, like she had tried to brush it with her fingers. Is Billy okay? Ben asked. Lucy nodded and opened the door wider. Billy was lying on the bed, awake now and looking around with big blue eyes. He seemed more alert than yesterday, probably because he finally had some food in his stomach. Are you hungry? Ben asked. Lucy nodded again, but then looked worried. I don't have money to pay you back for the food in the room. Lucy, I already told you. You don't need to pay me back. Let's go get some breakfast, okay? They walked to a small restaurant down the street. Ben carried Billy this time, giving Lucy's tired arms a rest. The baby felt so light, like he didn't weigh anything at all. Ben had never held a baby before, and he was nervous about dropping him, but Billy seemed comfortable in his arms. At the restaurant, Ben ordered pancakes and eggs for Lucy and a bottle for Billy. While they ate, Ben decided it was time to learn more about what had happened to these children. Lucy, he said gently, can you tell me about your mom? What happened before she left you at the truck stop? Lucy looked down at her pancakes. For a moment, Ben thought she wasn't going to answer. Then she started talking in a very quiet voice. Mama was sad a lot, she said. She cried every day and slept a lot during the day. Sometimes she would take pills that made her act funny. Ben felt his stomach tighten. He was starting to understand what kind of life these children had been living. She had boyfriends, Lucy continued. Different ones. They would come to our apartment and stay for a while, and then they would leave. Some of them were nice, but some of them were mean. Mean how? Ben asked, trying to keep his voice calm. They would yell at Mama and make her cry more. And they didn't like Billy crying. One time a man told Mama she had to choose between him and us kids. Ben's hands clenched into fists under the table. He couldn't believe adults would put a child in that position. What happened with the last man, he asked. His name was Dave, Lucy said, still not looking up. He lived in a house outside of town. Mama moved us there about 2 months ago. At first he was okay. He bought groceries and let us watch TV. But then he started getting angry about money. Lucy took a small bite of pancakes and continued. He said we were costing too much. Billy needed diapers and formula, and I needed school supplies. Dave said he didn't sign up to take care of other people's kids. Did you go to school while you were there? Ben asked. Lucy shook her head. Mama said we would start soon, but we never did. I was taking care of Billy most of the time anyway. Mama was sick again, sleeping all day. Ben was starting to piece together the picture. Lucy's mother was probably struggling with addiction, moving from one relationship to another, and Lucy had become Billy's primary caregiver. Tell me about the truck stop, Ben said softly. Lucy's eyes filled with tears, but she kept talking. Dave got really mad about something. I think it was about money again. He told Mama she had to get rid of us or he was going to kick all of us out. Mama cried and cried, but then she put us in the car. Just you and Billy? Yes. She drove to the big truck stop on Highway 90. She said she was going to get us some food, but she needed to talk to someone first. She told me to wait with Billy by the picnic tables. Lucy wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I waited and waited. It got dark and she didn't come back. Billy started crying because he was hungry, but I didn't have any bottles left. How long did you wait? All night. The next morning, a truck driver asked me where my parents were. I told him my mama was coming back, but he said I should go inside and ask for help. But when I went inside, the man at the counter said I couldn't stay there without a grown-up. Ben felt sick thinking about this little girl waiting all night for a mother who wasn't coming back. So what did you do? I took Billy and started walking. I thought maybe I could find our old apartment, but I didn't really remember how to get there, and I didn't have money for a phone to call anyone. Is there anyone else? Grandparents? Other family? Lucy shook her head. Mama always said it was just us. She said her family didn't want her anymore because of the pills. Ben sat back in his chair, trying to process everything Lucy had told him. This little girl had been abandoned by her mother, left to care for a 6-month-old baby, and had been surviving on the streets for 3 days, and through it all she had never stopped protecting her little brother. "Lucy," Ben said, "you know that taking care of Billy isn't your job, right? You're just a little girl. Kids are supposed to be taken care of, not do the taking care of." Lucy looked at him with confusion. "But who else is going to do it? Billy needs me." "Billy does need someone to take care of him, but it should be a grown-up. Someone who can make sure he has everything he needs. Food, a safe place to sleep, doctor visits when he's sick." "Are you going to take us to the police now?" Lucy asked, her voice getting scared again. Ben thought about it. He knew he should. These children needed more help than he could give them. They needed to be in the system with people who knew how to handle situations like this. But every time he thought about calling social services, he remembered the fear in Lucy's eyes. "Lucy, what are you most afraid of?" he asked. "That they'll take Billy away from me," she said immediately. "That they'll put us in different places and I won't be able to take care of him anymore." "But Lucy, you shouldn't have to take care of him. You should get to be a kid." "I don't remember how to be just a kid," Lucy said sadly. "I've been taking care of Billy since he was born. What if he forgets me? What if he cries and I'm not there?" Ben looked at this little girl who had been forced to grow up too fast. She had been a mother to Billy for 6 months and she couldn't imagine any other life. The idea of being separated from him terrified her more than being hungry or homeless. "What if," Ben said slowly, "there was a way for you to stay with Billy, but also have grown-ups help take care of both of you?" Lucy looked at him with hope in her eyes. "Is that possible?" "I don't know yet," Ben said honestly. "But maybe we can figure something out." As they finished breakfast, Ben made a decision. He wasn't going to call social services today, not yet. First, he was going to see if there was another way to help these children. Maybe his sister Kate would have some ideas. Kate was a teacher and had always been good with kids. She lived about 4 hours away, but maybe she could come help him figure this out. "Lucy," he said, "I have a sister who's really good with children. Would it be okay if I called her and asked her to come meet you and Billy?" Lucy thought about it. "Will she try to take Billy away from me?" "No," Ben said. "I'll make sure she understands that you two need to stay together." "Okay," Lucy said quietly. That afternoon, Ben called Kate from the motel room while Lucy and Billy took a nap. He told her everything, about finding the children, about their story, about how he didn't know what to do but couldn't just walk away. Kate listened without interrupting. When he finished, she was quiet for a long time. "Ben," she finally said, "what you're describing. These children have been through serious trauma. They need professional help." "I know that," Ben said. "But Kate, if you could see how scared Lucy gets when I mention calling anyone official. She's convinced they'll be separated." "They might be," Kate said gently. "That's how the system works sometimes. But what if there's another way? What if someone could take care of both of them together?" Another long silence. "Ben, are you thinking about trying to take care of them yourself?" Ben hadn't really let himself think it that clearly before. But now that Kate said it, he realized that's exactly what he was thinking. "Maybe," he said. "I don't know. I've never taken care of kids before. I don't know anything about being a parent." "But you care about them," Kate said. "Yeah," Ben said. "I really do." "Okay," Kate said finally. "I'll drive up there tomorrow morning. We'll figure this out together." That night, Ben sat in his motel room thinking about how much his life had changed in just 2 days. He had always been happy being alone, never staying in one place too long, never getting too attached to anyone or anything. But now he couldn't stop thinking about Lucy's brave little face and Billy's tiny hands. He couldn't stop thinking about how Lucy had asked if he wanted to buy them, like children were things that could be sold. He couldn't stop thinking about how hard Lucy was trying to be a grown-up when she should still be playing with toys and learning to read. Maybe it was time for him to stop running. Maybe it was time to find out what it meant to really care about someone other than himself. In the room next door, Lucy was probably lying awake too, wondering if this strange cowboy who had bought them dinner was going to disappear like all the other adults in her life. Ben decided that he wasn't going anywhere. Not until he knew these children were safe and loved. And maybe, if he was really lucky, not ever. Kate arrived at the motel the next morning driving her blue Honda and carrying a big bag full of supplies. Ben watched from the window as she got out of her car. She looked tired from the long drive, but determined. Kate was 3 years younger than Ben, with brown hair that was always neat and clothes that never had wrinkles. She was everything Ben wasn't: organized, settled, responsible. Ben knocked on Lucy and Billy's door. "Lucy, my sister Kate is here. She brought some things for you and Billy." Lucy opened the door slowly, holding Billy in her arms as always. She looked at Kate with suspicious eyes. Ben understood. Lucy had learned not to trust new adults. "Hi, Lucy," Kate said with a gentle smile. "Ben told me about you and Billy. I brought some clean clothes and some toys, if that's okay." Lucy didn't say anything, but she let Kate into the room. Kate sat down on one of the chairs and didn't try to get too close to the children. "I'm a teacher," Kate explained. "I work with kids your age every day. Can you tell me how old you are?" 7, Lucy whispered. 7 is a great age, Kate said. "Do you like to read?" Lucy shrugged. "I don't know how to read very well. I was supposed to start first grade, but we moved a lot." Kate's eyes got sad, but she kept smiling. "That's okay. Reading is something you can learn any time. Would you like me to show you some of the things I brought?" Kate opened her bag and pulled out clean clothes in small sizes, shirts and pants and socks for Lucy and tiny outfits for Billy. She also had bottles for Billy, some baby food, and a few books with pictures. "These are for you," Kate said. "No strings attached. You don't have to do anything special to deserve them." Lucy looked confused. "But why would you give us things if we can't pay you back?" Kate and Ben looked at each other. This little girl still didn't understand that adults were supposed to take care of children, not the other way around. "Because that's what people do for children," Kate said gently. "Children are precious and they deserve to have what they need." While Lucy looked through the clothes, Kate and Ben stepped outside to talk. "Ben, this is worse than I thought," Kate said quietly. "That little girl has been completely parentified. She doesn't even know how to be a child." "What does that mean?" "It means she's been forced to act like an adult for so long that she doesn't remember how to let someone else take care of her. And look at that baby. He's way too thin. They both need medical attention, proper food, stability." Ben nodded. "I know, but Kate, what happens if we call social services? Will they really separate them?" Kate sighed. "Probably not permanently, but maybe temporarily while they figure out what to do. The problem is there aren't many foster families willing to take both a baby and a school-age child. It's a lot of work." "What if someone wanted to take both of them?" Ben asked. Kate looked at her brother carefully. "Ben, are you seriously thinking about this?" "I can't stop thinking about it," Ben admitted. "I know it sounds crazy. I live in my truck half the time. I don't know anything about kids, but Kate, I can't just walk away from them. Taking care of 2 traumatized children isn't like taking care of cattle, Ben. It's a full-time job. It means giving up your nomad lifestyle. It means doctor appointments and school meetings and sleepless nights when the baby is sick. It means being responsible for their emotional healing, not just their physical needs." Ben was quiet for a moment. "I know it would be hard, but what's the alternative? Let them disappear into a system where they might be separated?" Kate studied her brother's face. In all the years she had known him, she had never seen him care about anything the way he seemed to care about these children. "If you're serious about this," she said slowly, "there would be a lot to figure out. You'd need a real home, not just a truck. You'd need to learn about child development, trauma recovery, legal guardianship. And Ben, you'd need to understand that this isn't temporary. If you take these kids, you're committing to them for life." "I think I want to," Ben said, quietly. They went back inside where Lucy was trying to feed Billy with one of the new bottles. Kate watched how gentle and careful Lucy was, how she tested the temperature of the milk on her wrist like she had been doing it for years. "Lucy," Kate said, You're really good at taking care of Billy. Lucy looked up. I have to be. He needs me. He does need someone to love him and take care of him, Kate agreed. But you know what? You need someone to take care of you too. I can take care of myself, Lucy said quickly. I'm sure you can. You've been doing it for a long time, but the thing is, 7-year-old girls shouldn't have to take care of themselves. They should get to play and learn and have fun while grown-ups worry about the hard stuff. Lucy looked confused again. But who would worry about the hard stuff for me? Kate looked at Ben. This was his moment to decide. Maybe I could, Ben said quietly. Lucy stared at him. You want to take care of me and Billy? I think I do, Ben said. But only if you want me to, and only if we can all stay together. Forever? Lucy asked. Ben's heart pounded. Forever was a long time. Forever meant no more traveling from ranch to ranch. Forever meant learning how to be a dad when he had never even thought about being one before. Yeah, he said. Forever. Lucy was quiet for a long time, looking back and forth between Ben and Kate. Finally, she spoke. What if you change your mind? What if you decide we're too much trouble? Ben knelt down so he was at eye level with her. Lucy, I can't promise that. Everything will be perfect. I don't know how to be a dad, so I'll probably make mistakes, but I can promise you this. I will never, ever abandon you. If I say I'm going to take care of you and Billy, then that's what I'll do, no matter what. Even if Billy cries a lot, even if Billy cries a lot, even if I have bad dreams, even if you have bad dreams, even if we cost a lot of money, even if you cost a lot of money. Lucy thought about this. Then she asked the question that broke both Ben and Kate's hearts. Even if I'm not good enough? Ben felt tears in his eyes. Lucy, you are more than good enough. You are perfect exactly the way you are. Billy is perfect exactly the way he is. Any person would be lucky to have you in their family. Really? Really? Lucy looked at Billy, who was falling asleep in her arms after finishing his bottle. Then she looked back at Ben. Okay, she said simply. Kate wiped her eyes. Okay then. We have a lot of work to do. Over the next few hours, Kate helped Ben understand what he was getting into. They made lists of things he would need. A real house, furniture, car seats, medical insurance, legal advice. Kate called some friends who worked in social services to understand the process of becoming a guardian. The good news, Kate said after several phone calls, is that because the children were abandoned and there are no other family members, the process might be faster than usual. The bad news is that, Ben, you're going to have to prove you can provide a stable home. What does that mean? It means no more living in your truck. You need an address, a regular income, references from people who can vouch for your character, and you'll need to pass background checks and home inspections. Ben felt overwhelmed. How long does all this take? It could be anywhere from a few months to a year, depending on how complicated things get. What happens to Lucy and Billy while all this is happening? Kate was quiet. Well, officially, they should be in foster care while the paperwork gets sorted out. Lucy, who had been listening quietly, suddenly looked terrified. Foster care means we get separated, doesn't it? Kate looked at Ben helplessly. They both knew that was a real possibility. Ben made another decision that would change everything. What if we don't do it officially right away? He said. Kate looked shocked. Ben, you can't just take these children. That's kidnapping. I'm not kidnapping them. They came to me for help. What if I just help them? Get us all a place to live, take care of their immediate needs, and then figure out the legal stuff. That's really risky, Ben. If someone finds out, who's going to find out? Their mother abandoned them. There's no one looking for them. Kate looked at Lucy and Billy, then back at Ben. What you're talking about is basically going off the grid until you can get the legal stuff sorted out. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm talking about. Lucy had been following the conversation as much as she could. Does that mean we can stay together? Ben looked at her scared face and made his final decision. Yes, it means we stay together. That afternoon, Kate helped Ben find a small house to rent on the outskirts of town. It wasn't fancy, just a 2-bedroom place with a kitchen and a living room, but it had a yard and was far enough from the main road that they would have privacy. Kate went shopping for basic furniture and supplies, while Ben and the children went to a doctor Kate had recommended. Lucy was nervous about the doctor visit, but the doctor was kind and gentle. She confirmed what they already knew. Both children were malnourished, but otherwise healthy. Billy was small for his age, but with proper nutrition he would catch up. That night they slept in their new house for the first time. Lucy and Billy shared one bedroom, and Ben took the other. Kate slept on an air mattress in the living room. As you, Ben lay in his own bed in his own house, the first house he had lived in for more than a few weeks since he was 18. He thought about how different his life was going to be. No more traveling from ranch to ranch. No more freedom to just pick up and leave whenever he wanted. No more answering only to himself. The first few weeks in the little house were harder than Ben had imagined. He had thought the biggest challenge would be learning practical things like changing diapers and making bottles. But the real challenges were much deeper. Billy cried a lot, especially at night. But it wasn't normal baby crying. It was the desperate, panicked crying of a child who had learned that his needs might not be met. Even when he was fed and clean and warm, he would sometimes cry for hours. Ben would walk around the house with Billy in his arms, feeling helpless and worried that he was doing everything wrong. Lucy was struggling too, but in different ways. She couldn't sleep through the night because she was used to being the one who woke up when Billy cried. She would sneak into Ben's room to check on Billy, unable to believe that someone else was really taking care of him. "You don't have to get up with him anymore," Ben told her gently after finding her standing in his doorway at 2 a.m. for the 3rd night in a row. "But what if you don't hear him?" Lucy asked, wrapping her thin arms around herself. "I hear him," Ben said. "I promise I hear him every time. What if you get tired of getting up with him and decide you don't want us anymore?" Ben's heart ached. Lucy was still waiting for him to abandon them, just like every other adult in her life had. "Lucy, come here," he said softly. She walked over to where he was sitting in the rocking chair Kate had bought, with Billy finally calm in his arms. "I need you to understand something," Ben said. "Getting tired doesn't mean giving up. All parents get tired sometimes, that's normal. But being tired doesn't make you stop loving your children." "Really? Really? My dad used to get up with me, and Kate when we were sick. He would be grumpy the next day because he was tired, but he never once made us feel like we were a burden." Lucy thought about this. "I don't remember anyone ever taking care of me when I was sick." Ben felt that familiar anger at Lucy's mother, but he pushed it away. Getting angry wouldn't help Lucy heal. "Well, now you have someone," he said. "If you get sick, I'll take care of you. If Billy gets sick, I'll take care of him. That's what families do." Slowly, very slowly, Lucy started to believe him. The turning point came about a month after they moved into the house. Billy had been crying all evening, and nothing Ben tried would comfort him. Lucy was pacing around the living room, getting more and more anxious. "Maybe he's really sick," she said. "Maybe we should take him to the hospital." "He's not sick," Ben said, though he was starting to wonder himself. Sometimes babies just have fussy days. But what if something's really wrong? What if we don't know how to help him? Ben could see that Lucy was about to panic. In her mind, if something happened to Billy, it would be her fault for not taking good enough care of him. "Lucy," Ben said, firmly, "sit down." She sat on the couch, her hands shaking. "Look at me," Ben said. "Billy is okay. He's fed, he's clean, he's warm. Sometimes babies cry just because they're learning how to be in the world. It doesn't mean anyone did anything wrong, but no buts. Lucy, I need you to trust me to take care of Billy, and I need you to let me take care of you too." Lucy looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean, when was the last time you just played? When was the last time you did something just for fun?" Lucy couldn't answer because she didn't remember. Ben made a decision. He put Billy in his crib, still crying but safe, and sat down on the floor next to the couch where Lucy was sitting. "We're going to play a game," he said. "But Billy is fine. He's just expressing his feelings. Sometimes people need to cry, even babies. He's safe and we can still hear him, but we don't have to fix everything right this second." Ben pulled out a deck of cards Kate had bought. "Do you know how to play Go Fish?" Lucy shook her head. "I'll teach you. It's easy and fun." For the first time since Ben had known her, Lucy focused on something other than Billy's immediate needs. She learned the game quickly and even giggled when Ben pretended to be frustrated about having to go fish for more cards. After about 20 minutes, Billy's crying had turned into little hiccups, and then he fell asleep. "See," Ben said. "He just needed to get some feelings out. Now he feels better." Lucy stared at the crib where Billy was sleeping peacefully. "He didn't need me to fix it?" "Nope. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is just let them feel their feelings while staying nearby so they know they're not alone." This was a huge revelation for Lucy. She had spent so many months thinking that every time Billy cried, it meant she was failing as his caretaker. From that night on, things started to get easier. Lucy began to let Ben handle more of Billy's care. She started sleeping through the night. She even began to play with the toys Kate had brought, though at first she seemed to think she needed permission. "I don't know how to play with these," Lucy admitted one day, looking at a set of dolls Kate had given her. "There's no wrong way to play," Ben said. "You just do whatever feels fun." Ben quickly realized he was going to need to learn a lot of things he had never thought about. He bought parenting books and read them at night after the children were asleep. He learned about child development and trauma and how to help children feel secure. He also had to learn practical things: how to cook meals that a 7-year-old would actually eat, how to give baths to a squirmy baby, how to read bedtime stories with different voices for different characters. The bedtime stories were Lucy's favorite part of the day. She would curl up next to Ben on the couch with Billy on her lap, and they would read together. Lucy was starting to recognize more words, and she was proud when she could read simple sentences by herself. "Ben," she said one night after they finished a story about a little rabbit, "are you my dad now?" Ben's throat got tight. "Would you like me to be?" Lucy thought about it seriously. "I think so. But what if my real mom comes back?" Ben had been dreading this question, but he knew it was important to be honest. "If your mom comes back and she's gotten better and can take good care of you and Billy, then we'll figure out what's best for you both," he said. "But Lucy, I need you to know that no matter what happens, you'll always be important to me. Once someone is in your heart, they stay there forever. Even if I'm not living with you anymore?" "Even then." Lucy seemed satisfied with this answer. "Okay, then I think I'd like you to be my dad." "I'd like that too." As winter turned into spring, their little family found its rhythm. Ben had used his savings to buy a small ranch outside of town. Nothing fancy, just a house with some land where he could raise a few cattle and horses. It would give him a steady income without having to travel. Lucy loved the animals. She was gentle with the horses and helped Ben feed the cattle every morning. She was still very protective of Billy, but now she could also be a 7-year-old girl who got excited about baby calves and collected pretty rocks. Billy was thriving too. He was gaining weight and reaching all his developmental milestones. He had started walking and was beginning to say simple words. His favorite word was Ben, which he said whenever he wanted to be picked up. Kate visited every few weeks, bringing books and toys and helping Ben navigate the challenges of parenting. She was amazed by how much Lucy had opened up. "She's like a different child," Kate told Ben during one visit. "She's starting to act her age instead of trying to be a little adult. She still has nightmares sometimes," Ben said, "and she still gets anxious if she can't see Billy for too long, but yeah, she's getting better." "What about you? Any regrets?" Ben thought about it. His life was completely different now. Instead of waking up in his truck on a different ranch every few days, he woke up to the sound of Billy babbling in his crib and Lucy singing softly to herself as she got dressed. Instead of eating whatever he could find at gas stations, he planned meals and packed lunches. Instead of answering only to himself, he had 2 little people who depended on him for everything. "No regrets," he said. This is the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's also the best thing I've ever done. One evening, as Ben was tucking Lucy into bed, she asked him another question that caught him off guard. Ben, do you think I'm a good big sister? I think you're the best big sister in the whole world, he said honestly, even though I used to not know how to just be a kid. Especially because of that. Lucy, what you did for Billy before I found you. Taking care of him when you were just a little girl yourself. That was the bravest, most loving thing anyone could do. But now I get to be a kid and a big sister? That's right. Now you get to be both. As Ben turned off the light and headed to his own room, he thought about how much they had all learned. Lucy had learned that she could trust adults to take care of her. Billy had learned that he was safe and loved. And Ben had learned that the biggest adventures weren't always about going to new places. Sometimes they were about staying in one place and building something beautiful with the people you love. Tomorrow there would be new challenges. Lucy would start school in the fall, and Ben was nervous about how she would adjust. Billy was getting more mobile and curious every day. There were still legal issues to resolve and paperwork to file, but tonight, his children were safe and happy, and sleeping peacefully. Tonight, Ben was exactly where he belonged. The lonely cowboy had finally found his home, and it wasn't a place. It was two little hearts that had chosen to love him back. 2 years had passed since that October night when Ben first saw Lucy sitting on the diner steps, holding baby Billy and asking if someone would buy them. Now it was October again, and everything had changed. Lucy was 9 years old now and in 3rd grade. She could read chapter books by herself and was learning to ride horses. Her hair was clean and shiny, held back with colorful hair ties, and her clothes fit properly. But the biggest change wasn't in how she looked. It was in how she laughed. Lucy laughed all the time now. She laughed when Billy tried to copy the way she talked to the horses. She laughed when Ben made silly faces at breakfast. She laughed when she beat him at card games. The sound of her laughter was Ben's favorite thing in the whole world. Billy was 2.5 now, a busy toddler with curly hair and bright blue eyes. He followed Ben everywhere, copying everything he did. When Ben put on his cowboy hat, Billy would put on his little hat too. When Ben walked out to check on the cattle, Billy would toddle behind him in his tiny boots. "Daddy Ben," Billy would call, reaching up his arms to be carried. It had taken Billy a while to start talking clearly, but now he chattered constantly, asking questions about everything he saw. The legal stuff had been complicated, just like Kate had warned. But with the help of a good lawyer and social workers who could see how well the children were thriving, Ben had officially become Lucy and Billy's guardian. The adoption had been finalized just last month. Ben would never forget the day they all went to the courthouse for the final hearing. Lucy had worn her favorite dress, blue with little flowers on it, and Billy had worn a tiny suit that made him look like a miniature businessman. The judge, a kind woman with gray hair, had asked Lucy some questions. "Lucy, do you understand what adoption means?" the judge had asked. "It means Ben gets to be our real dad forever and ever, even if something happens," Lucy had answered confidently. "And is that what you want?" Lucy had looked at Ben with such love in her eyes that he had to blink back tears. "Yes, ma'am. Ben is the best daddy in the world. He takes care of us and loves us and never gets mad when Billy spills things." The judge had smiled. "And what about you, Billy? Do you want Ben to be your daddy?" Billy, who was sitting on Ben's lap, had grabbed Ben's face with his chubby hands and given him a big kiss. "My daddy Ben," he had announced proudly, making everyone in the courtroom laugh. "Well then," the judge had said, "it's official. Mr. Ben Rodriguez, you are now the legal father of Lucy Marie Rodriguez and William Benjamin Rodriguez." Rodriguez. Ben had given them his last name, and they were so proud of it. Lucy practiced writing Lucy Rodriguez over and over, and she told everyone at school about her new name. Now, on this October evening, Ben was sitting on the front porch of their house, watching Lucy help Billy collect colorful leaves. The house was bigger. Now, they had added on another bedroom and a playroom where the kids could keep their toys and books. The walls were covered with Lucy's artwork from school and photos of their family adventures. Kate came to visit every month, and she always brought new books and games. She had been the maid of honor when Ben married Rebecca, a veterinarian he had met when Billy got sick with a fever last year. Rebecca was patient and kind, and she loved Lucy and Billy like they were her own children. She had moved in 6 months ago, and now Billy called her Mama Becca, and Lucy called her Mom. Ben, Lucy called from the yard, "Look what Billy found." Ran over to the porch holding Billy's hand as he toddled beside her. In Billy's other hand was a perfect red maple leaf bigger than his face. "That's a beautiful leaf, buddy," Ben said, lifting Billy onto his lap. "Pretty leaf for Mama Becca," Billy announced. Rebecca was inside making dinner, and Billy wanted to give her his treasure. "She'll love it," Ben said. "Lucy, did you finish your homework?" "All done," Lucy said proudly. "I wrote a story about our family for English class." "What's the story about?" Lucy climbed up on the porch swing next to Ben's chair. "It's about a cowboy who was lonely, and 2 kids who needed a family and how they all found each other." Ben smiled. "Sounds like a good story. Mrs. Patterson said she wants to read it to the whole class tomorrow. Is that okay?" "I think that's wonderful, sweetheart." As they sat there watching the sun set over their land, Ben thought about how different his life was now. His days started early with breakfast and getting Lucy ready for school. After dropping her off, he would spend the morning working with the cattle and horses, with Billy helping by getting in the way and asking constant questions. In the afternoons, he would pick Lucy up from school, help with homework, make dinner with Rebecca, and spend the evenings reading stories or playing games. It was busy and loud and sometimes chaotic. Billy was going through a phase where he wanted to do everything himself, but got frustrated when he couldn't manage complicated tasks. Lucy was having growing pains. Some days she was mature and helpful. Other days she tested boundaries like any normal 9-year-old. But Ben couldn't imagine any other life. "Daddy Ben," Billy said, playing with the buttons on Ben's shirt. "Tell me about when I was a baby." This was Billy's favorite story, and he asked for it almost every night. Ben had learned to tell it in a way that was appropriate for a little boy, focusing on how brave Lucy was and how much they had both been wanted and loved, without going into the scary details. "Well," Ben said, settling Billy more comfortably on his lap. "When you were a tiny baby, your big sister Lucy took very good care of you. She made sure you had bottles and clean diapers, and she sang to you when you were scared." "And then you found us," Billy said excitedly, even though he knew the story by heart. "That's right. I was at a restaurant and I saw Lucy sitting outside holding you and being the best big sister ever. And I thought, those children need a family, and I need children to love. And then we came home with you. Well, first we stayed in a hotel, remember? And then Aunt Kate came to meet you, and then we found our house." Lucy was listening too, even though she had heard this story hundreds of times, but she never got tired of hearing about how Ben had chosen them, how he had given up his old life to make a family with them. "Ben," Lucy said quietly, "do you ever miss your old life, when you could go anywhere you wanted?" Ben looked at his daughter, because that's what she was now, completely and legally and forever his daughter, and thought about her question seriously. "Lucy, do you know what I used to dream about when I was traveling all the time?" She shook her head. "I used to dream about having a home where I belonged, a place where people would miss me if I was gone, and where I would have reasons to come back every night. I didn't even know I wanted a family until I met you and Billy." "Really? Really? Before I found you two, I thought freedom meant being able to leave whenever I wanted. But now I know that real freedom is having people to love who love you back." Rebecca appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on a kitchen towel. "Dinner's ready," she called. "And Billy, I heard you have something special for me." Billy wiggled down from Ben's lap and ran to Rebecca, holding up his leaf. "Pretty leaf, Mama Becca." "It's the most beautiful leaf I've ever seen," Rebecca said, giving Billy a big hug. "Should we put it in our special leaf collection?" They had started the leaf collection last fall, pressing especially pretty leaves in a big book that sat on the coffee table. Billy was very proud of his contributions. As they all went inside for dinner, Ben took one last look at the sunset over their land. Tomorrow Lucy had a school play and Billy had a doctor's appointment for his regular checkup. This weekend they were going to visit Kate, and next month they were planning a camping trip to the mountains. Their life was full of ordinary moments now, helping with homework, reading bedtime stories, bandaging scraped knees, celebrating small victories. Ben had never known that ordinary moments could be so precious. At dinner, Lucy told them about her day at school, and Billy showed off how he could use his fork like a big boy. Rebecca talked about the baby horse that had been born on the neighbor's farm, and Ben listened to his family chatter, feeling grateful for every single word. After dinner, as they were cleaning up, Lucy came over and hugged Ben around the waist. "Love you, Daddy," she said simply. "I love you too, sweetheart," Ben replied, kissing the top of her head. Billy, not wanting to be left out, wrapped his arms around Ben's legs. "Love you, Daddy Ben." "I love you too, buddy." As Ben looked around, at his kitchen, the dishes in the sink, Billy's toys scattered on the floor, Lucy's school papers stuck to the refrigerator with magnets. He thought about that night 2 years ago, when a little girl had asked him to buy her and her baby brother. She hadn't known then that love couldn't be bought or sold. She hadn't known that families could be built from scratch by people who chose each other. She hadn't known that sometimes the most broken people could help heal each other. But she knew now. They all knew now. That night, after the children were asleep, Ben and Rebecca sat on their front porch holding hands and listening to the quiet sounds of their ranch settling down for the night. "Any regrets?" Rebecca asked, just like Kate used to ask. Ben thought about the question, just like he always did. He thought about